What's going on, everybody? Thank you guys so much for watching the show. Wanted to talk to you about our friends over at Prize Picks, the best place to win cash while watching sports. This app is really easy to use. You just pick more or less on a few player stats, and you could win up to 1,000 times your cash on a single lineup. Best of all, Prize Picks will give you $50 when you play your first $5 lineup. Win or lose, you'll get $50 for playing. Use the promo code PFF and download the app now. All right, the Saints on the clock at number 40. They draft Louisville quarterback Tyler Shough. Clearly, he's the next guy here.
Yeah.
That's
over Shedeur.
Over Shedeur.
Over Milroe, even.
Over Milroe. Well, look, there was enough smoke with all of the insiders pushing this and everything. Oh, Tyler Shough, watch out for Tyler Shough. He'd be back into the first guy. There was enough smoke to where I didn't think he was going to make it into round one, but I'm not shocked that he goes. New Orleans being the pick here over Shedeur and Milroe is not what I would have gone with, but him going in the second round, even in the first half of the second round, that's not as surprising as it probably should have been, just because we were kind of bracing for it with what everybody was saying.
He's got all the measurables you look for. He's 6'5", 219 pounds. He has good arm strength as well. He's just a very, very old prospect, man. He's 26 years old. He'll be 26 in his rookie year. He's actually the same recruiting class as Trevor Lawrence coming out of high school, and he has extensive injury history dating back to Texas Tech and Oregon as well. Not a very mobile player. And the first 6 years of his career, 6 years of his college career, he played 7 years in college football, were pretty meh. And then he went to Louisville, had a great year under Jeff Brom. But yeah, I think Tyler Shough, again, I would have taken Shedeur Sanders over him and not thought twice about it. But I could see why the NFL was higher on Tyler Shough.
Well, they're higher on him because in a class of quarterbacks where there's all sorts of questions. Does Shedeur have the arm strength? Does Jalen Milroe have the accuracy? Even like Jackson Dart. Can Jackson Dart play on time the way that he needs to and under pressure, when the game is getting to the 2-minute drill and all that kinds of stuff? Can Riley Leonard be accurate enough? Does Dylan Gabriel have the physical tools that he needs? Is Will Howard able to replicate that national championship run? Can he be as consistent as he needs to be? At least Tyler Shough has an NFL arm. And I think very clearly the Saints are like, give me the NFL arm. Give me at least the player where I don't have to worry about him physically. I mean, maybe injury-wise you do. But in terms of overall arm talent and physical tools, you don't have to worry about him. That's why he's getting drafted here. The Derek Carr situation now very interesting. Spencer Rattler situation interesting, if it was interesting.
Someone in the chat just pointed out that new head coach Kellen Moore is exactly 10 years older than Tyler Shough, who we just drafted. That's pretty insane. I didn't even think about that. Kellen Moore's a very young head coach,
I just think it's this. You mentioned it. This does go back to just the same old thing that we do every year at quarterback, and that's just, hey, physical tools. And not that Shough doesn't know how to play the position, because he learned a lot under Jeff Brom this year. Jeff Brom is quietly one of the best quarterback whisperers in college football. He's had almost all of his starting quarterbacks at least drafted over the last decade, whether it's at Western Kentucky or Purdue or at Louisville now. I just, for a player that struggles so much under pressure, and I know they drafted Kelvin Banks, to now go to a team that was last in the league in pass blocking grade. And again, I don't have Shough as a top 40 player anywhere near it on my board, that's for sure. Look,
he was outside of the top 100 for me as well.
In Kellen Moore's offense, if they get one-on-one matchups, they want to throw outside the numbers. I will say, to me, Tyler Shough's best throws come deep and outside the numbers. Go balls, sluggos, things like that, where he can rip it sideline to sideline. Throws over the middle is something I would question, especially under duress. Decision-making under duress. You're right. He's mobile. He's got functional mobility, but it's not dynamic mobility by any means. He's got the injury history, and some of that injury history comes from making poor decisions with his body under pressure, right? So I think, look, if the Saints believe this is their guy for now, then fine. Now, the thing with a second-round pick, we've talked about this before with Will Levis and some other second-round quarterbacks, it's easier to get out of also. If the Saints are just a disaster again this year and they're picking top 3 next year, they could take another quarterback, whatever. It doesn't cost you as much with a second-round pick. It's just become shocking at this point that it's both now Dart and Shough ahead of Sanders and even Milroe, honestly, who Again, everybody considers the most physically gifted quarterback in this class with the rushing ability. You have to think, first of all, what does this mean for Derek Carr and what's happening with either the injury or possibly playing somewhere else this year?
Curtains.
In New Orleans, sure, probably. And we don't know the shoulder.
He's the next Steelers quarterback, probably, Derek Carr.
Well,
They're just going to keep cycling through him.
Is he healthy? Is the shoulder injury fake or not, or what? And then you go, okay, is Shough starting immediately? Is there some open competition? Is there what are we doing in New Orleans?